QuickBooks Enterprise 2021. Class Tracking, Responsibility Accounting, Process Payroll, and Allocate 2 departments. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Enterprise 2021. Here we are in our Class Tracking, Responsibility Accounting practice file. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the View dropdown, selecting the open windows list. Last time we set up our manual payroll and a few employees that we set up to track by the class. To see that, let's go to the lists drop, or to see how we did that, we turned on manual payroll by going to the edit dropdown, down to the preferences. Then we went to the payroll employees on the left. We went to the company preferences on the right. We turned on the manual payroll. Closing this back out, then we added our employees by going to the employee center, and we added our employees down below. Now, I'm going to take a look at Lena. I may not have added a class for Lena in the prior presentation, which I have later done. So the payroll item down here for Lena is going to be the service D2. So it's service D2 for Lena on the class. So now that we have the classes, we're going to process the payroll, and we want to be able to process the payroll so that when it goes to the income statement, it'll be on one line item, which will be payroll expenses, but then breaking out between the four items here, the four departments, which will be broken out by the people that work within them. We're going to have one employee working per department. So let's take a look at what that will look like. Let's go back to the home page. We're going to go then and pay the employees. So we'll pay the employees. We're not going to be dealing with sales tax and whatnot, but you'll see how the data input screen will look for it. I'm going to say this is going to happen on 01/30/21. So we're going to be working in 2021, 01/30/21. And so this transaction, that's okay. And checking account up top. I'm going to handwrite the checks. First one starting there, that is fine. Then I'm going to check these off. So I'm going to check them all off. And then I'm going to go into each one of them and analyze what's within the payroll. So I'm going to click this one, adding it. This is, you can see up here, go into the class, Sales D2. So on Sales D2, that's going to be over here. I'm going to pull out the trusty calculator. I basically want that 11,000 to be processed with this one employee. So I'm going to just make that work. So we said it was $20 an hour. So 11,000 divided by 20 is going to be the 550. It's a lot of hours, but we're just going to be testing out the class tracking here. So it's going to be 550. And then you can see down below that we have the 11,000. Now we're not going to be doing any withholdings, and note that these withholdings is the area where the manual payroll is more difficult, of course, than if you were to have the payroll set up within QuickBooks, because then it'll help you to calculate these items. Whereas if you have the manual payroll, you have to do it manually. That's where the problem is. Other than that, this data input screen looks much the same. So we would have the withholdings on this side. We would then have the withholdings, or not the withholdings, the employer taxes on this side. But again, our goal here is simply to process the payroll. I'd like to tie it out to that 11,000, and then as we do so, assign it to the proper class so that we can then see the departments that will line up. So then I'm going to say save and next. Now we have, this one's going to be the sales D1. So now we're looking at sales D1. So that's going to be this one, the 600. So or 6,000. So if I pick up that 6,000 divided by 20, which was the hourly rates, 300. So sales D1, 300 hours. That's going to calculate at the 6,000. That looks good. So I'm just going to keep it there, and I'm going to say save and next. Now we have the service D2. So service D2, I want that to be 2,000. So we're going to take the 2,000 divided by the 20. That's going to give us the 100. So 100 hours. So 100 hours. There's the 2,000 there. Let's do the one more. Save and next. And this one is service D2. So service D2, which we already had service D2. Hold on a second here. We might have to adjust one of these. So service D2, this is Lena. I'm going to close this out. And we also, Louis, Penn, and Lena seem like they're going to the same spot. I'm going to adjust that. Let's go back on over. Louis and Lena. They have similar names, so that's why we got messed up with it, maybe. But this one, Louis, is going to payroll item service D2, all right? And then Lena is going to payroll service D2. So let's make this one service D1. Service D1, all right? And I'm gonna say okay on that one. Now let's go back over, and obviously I did that on purpose, and just so we could, practice going back and forth and see where that comes from. But now, anyways, I'm gonna go back in here to Lena. Now it didn't change in this one here, so we're gonna have to change it manually. It would change the next time we process the payroll. So I'm gonna say service D1 for Lena, and then I'm gonna say that this one needs to be for the 1,000. So we'll take the 1,000 with the trusty calculator, and we'll take the 1,000 divided by 20. And that's going to be the 50 hours. So we're going to say 50 right there. I'll type it as I say it, 50. And there's the 1,000. So we have that. So I'm going to say save it and close it. Save it, close it, please. And then let's go ahead and process this. And it should process it, allocate it to the payroll expense, and hopefully break that out by class so we can see it broken out by class. Let's check it out. Continue it. We're going to continue, and we're going to create the paychecks. Creating the paychecks, and I'm not going to take a look at the pay stubs. I just want to go then to our reports and see if the class tracking worked by going to the reports drop down. We want to take a look at the company and financial, and we want the profit and loss by class. Profit and loss by class. We're going to take a look at it in 2021, 01, 21 to 12, 31, 21. And so there we have it broken out by the class. And so we've got the payroll for sales department 1, sales 2, service D1, service D2, and then the total for all of them. So that's how you can kind of process it out with payroll. It can be a little bit more tricky with the payroll because, of course, you have to go through that payrolling process to do that. And then in future presentations, we'll do similar kind of allocation of the class tracking to other items.